Do you want to be a first date pro? The truth is, the first date can be nerve-wracking, but it doesn't have to be. By following the tips in this video, you'll learn how to impress your date and leave them wanting more. So what are you waiting for? Let's dive in. 1. She's also nervous. I want to share a little secret with you. Your date is probably feeling just as nervous as you are. It's easy to forget that when we're wrapped up in our nerves and anxieties. But it's important to remember that you're not alone. If you're feeling shy or introverted, it's easy to assume that you're the only one who feels this way. But the truth is, about half of all people consider themselves shy, so there's a good chance that your date is feeling just as nervous as you are. One of the most important things you can do to calm your nerves is to recognize that your date probably feels a lot of the same trepidation as you. This can make you feel less like an outlier and more comfortable with the idea of meeting up with her. Instead of obsessing over how to look and sound cool, try to think about ways you can make her feel comfortable instead. This will shift your focus away from your nerves and onto hers. Even if she's not as nervous as you imagined, she'll appreciate your effort to make sure she's comfortable. So take a deep breath and remember that you're not alone. Your date is probably feeling just as nervous as you are. 2. Compliments show confidence. When we're feeling nervous or insecure, it's easy to get wrapped up in our own thoughts and forget about the other person. But as Dale Carnegie once said, be hearty in your approbation and lavish in your praise. People who are confident and comfortable in themselves are more likely to notice and appreciate the strengths in others. However, it's important to note that compliments should always be honest and sincere. Nobody likes to feel like they're being buttered up, and most people can smell insincerity from a mile away. So, if you're going to give a compliment, make sure it's genuine. And while it's totally fine to compliment your date's appearance at the start of the date, don't go overboard. You don't want her to feel like you're only interested in her physical appearance. Instead, look for opportunities to praise her for who she is and what she does. If she tells you about her job or studies, point out the challenges and commend her for her strengths and qualities. By offering sincere compliments that go beyond just physical appearance, you'll show your date that you're someone who appreciates more than just looks. So go ahead and give that compliment, but make sure it comes from the heart. We appreciate your support for small channels like ours. Please show your support by liking the video and subscribing for more content like this. And don't forget to drop a comment to share your thoughts on the topic. 3. Take the lead in planning. Let's talk about an important first date tip for guys. Don't defer the date planning to your date. It's understandable to want to be nice and accommodating, but going too far to demonstrate those traits can actually be a turnoff. Before the date has even begun, someone has to pick a time, place, and activity. It's tempting to consult closely with your date to choose the perfect place or activity, but this can come off as annoying rather than accommodating. Instead, take the reins and do some advanced planning. Have a few options in mind and suggest your first choice. This shows that you're a go-getter who knows what he wants and that you're willing to take responsibility. By taking the lead on date planning, you'll come off as more attractive and confident. So don't saddle your date with the responsibility of planning what you'll do. Have a few options in mind and suggest your first choice. And if she's not up for it, be flexible and offer a backup plan. 4. First date conversation just comes naturally. If you've ever found yourself worrying about what you'll talk about on a first date, you're not alone. The fear of awkward silences can be enough to make anyone's palms sweat. But here's the thing. When two people are attracted to each other and have enough in common to agree to a date, the conversation tends to flow pretty naturally. Sure, there may be a few lulls here and there, but that's okay. It's not your job to fill every second with witty banter or deep philosophical musings. Instead, focus on being present in the moment and actively listening to what your date is saying. Ask questions, share stories, and let the conversation evolve organically. And if all else fails, don't be afraid to embrace the silence. Sometimes a comfortable silence can be just as meaningful as a great conversation. So don't stress too much about what you'll talk about on your first date. Just be yourself, be open, and let the conversation take its course. 5. Ask open-ended questions. You might think that asking your date a yes or no question is a safe way to start a conversation, but it could actually lead to a dead end. For example, if you ask, "Do you like movies?" and she says no, then what? You're stuck trying to figure out what to talk about next. Instead of asking closed-ended questions, opt for open-ended ones that will give your date the chance to elaborate and share more about themselves. For example, instead of asking if she likes movies, ask how she feels about them. This way, even if she's not a big movie buff, she can still share her thoughts and feelings about the topic. By asking open-ended questions, you're giving your date a chance to express herself and share more about her personality and interests. It also makes for a more engaging conversation because you can ask follow-up questions based on what she says. So before your first date, think about a few interesting topics you want to discuss, and practice asking open-ended questions that will keep the conversation flowing smoothly. 6. Do your homework. One of the biggest hurdles when it comes to first dates is figuring out what to talk about. It can be especially daunting if you don't know much about your date. But fear not, because there's a simple solution. Do your homework. If you met your date through an online dating app, like Tinder, take a quick look at their profile before your date. Note their interests and any offhand remarks or jokes they've made. If you met them through mutual friends, ask your friends for some insider info. Not only will this give you some great conversation starters, but it'll also show your date that you're interested in getting to know them better. And here's a pro tip. When you do reference something from their profile or from your friends, make sure to cite your source. For example, your profile mentioned you're into skydiving. What was that like? Or, Amanda told me you're really into horseback riding. How did you get started with that? Now, we know that the internet can be a bit creepy and no one wants to come across as a stalker. By referencing your sources, you're showing that you're interested, but also respectful of their privacy. Plus, it'll help you stand out from all the other first dates they've been on. 7. Authenticity beats swagger. When it comes to first dates, it's only natural to want to present your best self. But sometimes, guys can go overboard in trying to impress their date. They may exaggerate their accomplishments or try to play up their strengths in an inauthentic way. Unfortunately, this can backfire and make them come across as fake or insecure. Instead of trying to put on a show, it's better to be true to yourself. Pick a date idea that naturally aligns with your interests and strengths, whether that's going to a comedy club, playing pool, or bowling. This will give your date a chance to see the real you and appreciate what makes you unique. Of course, nobody is perfect, and it's okay to have flaws. In fact, owning up to your weaknesses can be a sign of confidence and maturity. So if something comes up during the date that exposes a flaw, don't try to hide it. Instead, acknowledge it and show that you're comfortable with who you are. Remember, authenticity is attractive, and being true to yourself is one of the best ways to make a good impression on a first date. 8. Skip the kiss. This tip is a bit controversial, but hear us out. Skip the kiss on the first date. We know some of you might not agree, but there are actually some pretty compelling reasons for doing so. Firstly, skipping the kiss can spare you both some nerves and anxiety. Let's face it, first dates can be nerve-wracking enough without adding the pressure of deciding when, where, and how to lean in for that first kiss. By deciding from the outset to skip the kiss and go for a hug instead, you'll be able to relax and be yourself without worrying about how to initiate a kiss. Secondly, skipping the kiss can help you both avoid some awkwardness. Trying to read each other's body language to figure out if a kiss is appropriate can be confusing and uncomfortable. By taking the pressure off and deciding not to kiss, you'll avoid that awkward dance altogether. Lastly, skipping the kiss might leave her wanting more. People tend to want what they can't have, so by holding back a bit and injecting a little mystery into the equation, you might make her even more curious and excited to see you again. It'll let you feel more calm and more confident throughout the date, and spare you both some awkwardness at the end. Plus, it might even make her more eager for that second date, and that first kiss. Whether you're looking for love or just a fun night out, these tips are sure to make your first date a success. Dating can be tough, but with the right strategies, anyone can become a great first date. If you like this video, then check out these related videos to see more and make sure to subscribe and leave a like.